That's Retro Fandango. That's Retro Fandango. When it's Android over iPhone and you can keep your stupid amiibo and always bashing on Nintendo. But that's Retro Fandango. That's Retro Fandango. Thanks, Retro Fandango. Oh, wow.
Hello. I think it's recording. Okay, yes. Hello. And welcome to Retro Fandango. I stopped doing episode numbers, so this is the Fawlty Towers episode.
It's just yet another phase of Fandango.
Well, it seems like I don't know. We were up to like 250 episodes, and it's like, is anybody like going through and watching or listening or whatever every episode, and they need confirmation they're on the right episode and all? It's who cares
at this point? Yeah, it doesn't matter. And the people that are going to listen are going to listen, and the people that, well, I don't know if there's any other people out there.
Now that's listen.
We've honed our audience over the years, and he or she is out there.
And the people who are listening are the only ones left, because for the first time in, I think, about 6 years, I think if we went maybe before the pandemic, might be 7 or 8 years. This is an audio only exclusive, and going forward, it just might be that, because honestly, it's just a heck of a lot easier to not have to do the YouTube and an audio version. And I think we're at the point where I don't know, it was really only Ryan Gorman. That was it. Rocket Sauce. He'd be the only guy that would actually tune in regularly. And so he's really the only, right. And so really, he's the only guy that's going to be, that this change is going to affect. Well, it's going to affect me too, because I'm going to have less work to do. And I'm always.
So this is the screw you, Ryan version of Fandango.
Listen, he's still going to get a show. And to just be happy with that, because yeah, I don't know, I'm a little extra surly today because I'm tired. I got up it's one of those days where I got up at 6:30 and I just couldn't get back to sleep, and now I'm just up. And I know, saying that to you, who you're up at 6 o'clock right now recording this, so I guess
sure am.
I guess I'm not allowed to talk. But you know, we took away the YouTube feed, but we brought back the soundboard.
That ass up.
Really?
That's right.
Boner. Fandango boner.
Okay, there you go. So you lose one thing,
hey,
another thing's back.
Everything balances out.
That's right.
If I could stop talking over the clips, it would be great.
Get bonus.
There you go.
I forgot about that one.
It just adds to the authenticity of the when you step over them, of the sound clips, because you don't know when they're coming. So.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Oh, before we get started, I wanted to thank Duke for the last episode, who unknowingly might have been on the very last video version of this podcast. I don't know. We might do it again sometime or whatever. But just wanted to thank Duke for being an awesome guest. We talked for a long time. That was a monster episode, 3 hours, old school Fandango. We kept going. We went on for another hour after you left, if you could believe it, Richard.
Oh my goodness.
And you know, the funny thing is when we were finished talking, like maybe like 2 minutes after, I was like, oh man, I should have asked him this. I should have asked him that. I forgot to ask him this. The one thing I wanted to ask him, and I don't know why I didn't think of it, but like we were talking about, you know, I like to ask Americans like how they're dealing with everything right now, and all the turmoil and chaos that's going on in their country. And you know, his response was that he just pretty much ignores it and just does his civic duty and vote. But I was wondering, like, how do you balance that? How do you balance, and maybe you can answer this because you kind of like said that you were along the same page as him. How do you balance ignoring most of it, but still keeping informed?
Well, a lot of it, I'd say, is you have to. I mean, so much of what you're talking about is social media, and we got to get ratings. So
Right.
a lot of what you see when I go to social media, or even when I watch the news now, I basically turn. I feel like I'm Columbo, and I walk in on a
Yeah.
crime scene, and there's the part of my brain that's like, yeah, I guess, yeah, it all makes sense, but I just got one question.
Mhm.
I just one more question. I have to treat everything like it's fake and phony and some sort of a cover up, or there's some hidden agenda behind it. And you know that there's a certain amount of exaggeration
Oh
behind
yeah.
everything that's produced now. Everything is set up so that, like we've said before, it makes you angry, it makes you want to watch, it makes you want to engage, it makes you want to react and comment. And I just know that there is that thick layer of that on top of everything. And so I just ignore it. Like, why am I going to get angry about this? Why am I going to get involved in this? As one single person, yeah, you do not have control over what the entire rest of the world is doing.
Right.
You can be aware of it, and yes, what can I do? And the answer that Duke gave is right. You can vote here or there, knowing that, okay, I'm doing what I can in this direction, but ultimately people are still going to do what they want to do. People are still going to have their hidden agendas and, you know, all of that. So it's just a matter of, I see what's on the screen and it looks terrible. And then I see what's outside my window and what I deal with on a day to day basis. And it's night and day. So much of this exists on the screen for me. So if I don't look at the screen, I don't see it. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't mean that I don't know what's going on with the big beats,
Right.
but what am I going to do about it?
Like I'll give you an example. Like I just watched this big. I wish I could remember the guy's name, but he did this whole big deep dive on Louis C.K. And
Hmm.
like the whole controversy with Louis C.K. and him having that weird sexual fetish thing where he wanted to pleasure himself in front of women and
And
that
plants too, right?
and what?
Something about plants in that too?
I think he finished in a plant one time because he had to
Mm.
finish somewhere or something like that.
Mm.
Let me just give me a quick second here. Let's see. What is it?
I'm curious of how this ties together.
Okay, well, it does. We need to talk about Louis C.K. Is that the one? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so it's done by this guy, this channel called Comedy Without Airs, and this guy did a 4-part series just on Louis
Mhm.
C.K. and this whole controversy. It's not really a controversy when he breaks it down, and each of it was an hour long. And now, before going into the series, I really didn't know. Like I'm not a big Louis C.K. fan. I'm not like the huge. I'm not a fanatic or anything like that. I appreciated him mostly through his work on the Conan O'Brien show. Like he was a writer on with Conan decades ago, and I knew he had a show. He had a couple of shows. I never really watched them. I always meant to, but I never got around to them. And then that whole controversy happened, and I'm like, okay, well, I really got nothing to do with him. But then he started to have this comeback and all that, and a lot of I the is it rhetoric or a lot of the impression I got from that whole thing was that
Mm.
he it wasn't so bad. Like it wasn't like Jeffrey Epstein island kind of visiting kind of thing. It was just that
Mm.
he masturbated in front of these women and they felt uncomfortable. And he was like a bit of their superior, like he was like the more well-known comic and he could help them out with their careers and stuff like that. So that was that was the disgusting part. But he had consent, right? He had consent for everything. Like everything was like at some point he said, "Is this okay?" And they might have reluctantly said yes or whatever like that or whatever. The impression I got was that he had consent. So whatever he did or whatever, it was consensual. Then it might have turned ugly or whatever. That's the impression that I had. And then after watching this deep
Mm.
dive kind of thing, you find out that actually he never had consent at all from any of the women. None of them ever once gave him any sort of consent. This was something that he planted out there when he got behind it, and he said, "Yeah, that was a bad thing I did, and blah blah blah, but I got consent." And when you, where he didn't actually say he got consent, but he's like, when you get consent, it makes you think it's okay and all that. So he put that impression out there, right? So this is my example because it's like something that I was kind of half paying attention to. I wasn't paying close attention to it. And if I didn't pay any more attention to it, if I didn't bother to watch those things, if I didn't bother to like go in more and just, oh, I don't care or whatever, that say Louis C.K. was running for Prime Minister of Canada, I might have voted for him, right? Thinking that, well, yeah, he did this thing and it sucks, but he's better than the other guy or whatever, and then you find out the truth when you do like a deep dive, you start looking into more. So that's why it's like, I struggle with, it's those kind of things that makes me struggle with not wanting to be ignorant about what's going on in the world, but also not wanting to be totally overly consumed with it, where, it's bringing me down kind of thing. Like, where do I find that balance? Where do you find that
Well,
middle?
that's the thing of where exactly what you say, balance. So let's say in this example, you heard one thing, you researched, you find out another thing, and your theory is, well, what if he was running for office or something? He's not. So
No,
ultimately, how does that? But ultimately, now that you have more information on it, how does it change your day-to-day life? It doesn't really. It changes your opinion on the person, and you
right.
might think like, "Okay, I wanna support him, I don't wanna support him." You'll bounce between that based on what you find, but, like,
Maybe
that's
my,
not a significant thing for
I
me,
thought,
and yeah, I get it. Well, I get it, like, you always wanna get more information because it's the smart thing to do. Like, if you wanna know about something, you look into it, especially if it's something that could have an impact on your life, in terms of politics or something like that. But
well,
ultimately, I
that's,
think if you keep digging, you're gonna always find something that you agree with or something that you disagree with, and people tend to align with what fits their agenda. So if you look into somebody and you find, okay, this person is, more in line with my personal beliefs, maybe that's going to make you happy, or they do something that you disagree with, you're going to feel a little more distant from that person. But you can keep digging and digging and digging and find all these different things, but ultimately, it doesn't really matter. You're just gonna form an opinion one way or the other. I
yeah,
don't know.
I don't
I
know.
think you
Like,
can dig too far.
yeah, maybe my example was bad. Maybe that was a bad example because it wasn't really,
Mm.
yeah, like Louis C.K. at the end of the day, he's not going to affect my life one way or the other. I
Right.
wasn't really much of a fan anyways. I was just curious about it. So, but like for instance, like I've changed my I the Middle East. Like I've changed my opinion on the Gaza Strip and Israel and all that stuff. Like, 10 years ago, if you would have asked me, I would have been like, yeah, Israel, of course, the Palestinians just hate them. They're raised from, like, I've seen documentaries where they're teaching the children to hate Jews, and anti-Semitism and all that stuff. And then just over the last few years, with all the information coming out, about how there's a genocide going on in the Gaza Strip and
Mhm.
all that stuff. Like I remember, like when Ben Affleck was on Bill Maher, a decade ago, saying like, it's ridiculous what Israel's doing and all that. And Ben Affleck got a lot of crap for that. And then it turns out like here we are like 10 years later and he's right, and so without me looking into it and finding out like or
Mhm.
listening to people who I trust that's going to tell me the right give me the correct information on what's happening and all of that, like uh without doing that kind of stuff, like I don't know. How do I get informed without like going too far? I don't know. I
That,
don't know.
I suppose, is different for every person.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, I mean, it's not, I'm not saying that, no one should ever research or look into anything. but it's a matter of picking and choosing what makes sense for you. And also be aware of the effect it has on you once you start doing it, because just like any of those social media posts, it does get you angry.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there at the computer and you realize, man, I'm just like bristling inside. I feel like my blood pressure changing just because
Yeah.
I'm reading people's opinions online. And ultimately, that's kind of where it comes down to. It's me versus the rest of the world. So it's like, how much of the rest of the world do I want to take in? It's like the movie Team America World Police, right?
Right. Yeah.
That was always a big thing of people commenting, why is it America's job to police the world?
Yeah.
People speaking out against it, like whose business is it of America to
Right.
go out and see what's going on in the rest of the world? You're talking about a major political force of America. Who am I, one single person, to constantly look online and say like, no, you shouldn't do that. You can do this. You're allowed to do that. I think we're all in each other's business a bit too much. Now there is a granted, you've got to be aware of that sort of stuff when the next Hitler comes around.
Yeah.
You need people paying attention to say, "Hey, everybody, look over here. Something's
Right.
happening."
Right.
But for the most part, especially since now information is so wishy-washy, everything is put out promoting one particular opinion, agenda, whatever. Someone's backing this video, so we have to make sure that we say what they want us to say,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you got to. That's what you really need to look into, and just say like, do I believe what I'm seeing?
Right.
Because I mean, for me, Twitter is now it's reduced to, oh, when are we doing the next Fandango?
Yeah.
And Steven Iders pickup pictures,
Yeah. He's very
And then
committed.
the rest of it, it's like 98%. Can you believe this? Look at this video. This person got away with this.
Yeah.
It's just stuff there to trigger that doom scroll, and it's like that's what I see when I
Mm.
turn on any sort of device now. It's just I see all that stuff
Right.
coming out trying to get my attention. So, if anything, it is more difficult to try to form an opinion on anything because you don't know what's real anymore. You
Right.
don't know
Yeah.
what's being
Yeah.
exaggerated, and it's there's that argument over what news source is actually reputable, and you can find who you think is reputable, but just like you said about 10 years ago, you were one way on Israel, and then now you've flip-flopped. Whatever you're looking at now and you think is a credible source, 5 years from now, you might think, oh, well, they were lying to me the whole time.
Great.
So you've got that old man thing of like, I don't care anymore. You
Yeah.
deal with the rest of the world. I don't care. My
Yeah.
focus is on myself, my family, my community. Like, I would rather just look around and see like, hey, you know what? My neighbor needs help taking out the trash. I'm gonna like help with the bag or something like that. And yes, we have to pay attention to what's going on, but I think everybody needs to stop screaming and shouting so much so we actually can see anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I guess the conversation's kind of getting muddled between information and social media. Like, I'm not really talking about social media. I don't
Mm,
pay attention to what's going on there very much.
mm,
Um, I'm more like, I don't know, is YouTube social media? I don't know. It kind of is sometimes, but then it kind of isn't other times. Um,
mhm,
but there's like one guy I watch on social media. He's a Rational National, and he's a Canadian guy, and he focuses mostly. Well, he kind of balances between some American politics, but there's Canadian politics and specifically Ontario politics, and he's really good at uh, breaking down stuff with our premier Doug Ford and how corrupt he is. But he doesn't. He's basically like a news aggregate, right? Like he's
mm,
quoting and citing like real journalist sources and stuff like
mhm,
that. So that's why I tend to trust him, even though he does interject his opinion on a lot of things and all that. But um, so like I guess I just don't want to, like, I can't just completely turn that off, right? Like, because
Nobody's asking you to.
well, I know, I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Hey, guess what?
No, I think if you have some sources that you enjoy, I think the most important thing is as long as you go into it. Well, this is in general my message to the world, if everyone's listening. Just as long as you go into it willing to listen and willing to learn, because all the sources that I ignore are the ones where people are shouting their opinions
Oh
and
yeah.
saying this, me. And if you have someone that says, look, this is what I believe, this is what I found, this is what I've researched, but I'm also willing to listen to the other side. And if you have a good point, I will acknowledge it. And when somebody does that, then I have a more of a tendency to trust them because it's people just like us trying to figure things out when, information's coming at you from all sides and everyone's saying something different. I don't know. By all means, go through it if you want to filter through all that
Nah.
learn something from it.
At some point, you got to stop listening to the other side, though, don't you? Like when they're just spewing the same nonsense over and
When
over
it's
again.
when it's nonsense,
Yeah.
absolutely. But there is something to be said for listening to both sides instead of choosing your side and saying, "That's it. I'm just defending this post."
Yeah,
It's like
yeah. Digging in your
as
heels
much as
and
people
yeah.
argue and left and right and all that, there's usually there's usually decent stuff on both sides if you look for it. It's like not every decision, okay, I hate this politician. That doesn't mean everything they do is terrible. And I love this politician doesn't mean that everything they do is great.
Yeah.
People have that weird thing of like, okay, someone voted for the Republicans, so that means you think everything they do is fantastic.
Right.
No, you vote for the Democrats. Oh, they never do anything wrong. No, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. The funny thing is, there's so much overlap on what both sides agree on. Like, there's this one YouTube show that Sarah and I watch. It's called The Necessary Conversation, and it's these um, two kids. They're kids.
Hmm.
One is my age, almost 50, and the other is 44. But they have some parents that are in their 70s, and their parents are full on MAGA, right? They're full on
Hmm.
red hat, love Trump and all that. And the kids are liberals, and they're
Hmm.
constantly having conversations with their parents. That's what the show basically is, um, to try to get them to get out of the MAGA bubble. Like, they just sit there and they watch Newsmax all day. That's it, right? So
Hmm.
half the stuff that Trump does, they don't even see it. They don't even know that,
Hmm.
like, Trump is, like, talking down to female reporters or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, and the dad, just this week, the dad had a severe medical emergency. So the mom had to take him into emergency and the whole bit. And she has this experience, and I find this with most Republican people or people of that mindset. She has this experience and she comes out of it the other side saying, you know what? Everybody in America, everybody in the world needs healthcare.
Hmm.
Healthcare should be free for everybody. Healthcare is and that was not a position she had before this started. But as soon as it was
Sure.
something that
Hmm.
directly affected her, that
Hmm.
opened her eyes. And it's just like, it's just seems to be like a lack of empathy that was there before. But now that she's experienced it herself, she has that empathy, you know. And
Well, yeah, people are so heavily indoctrinated with the side they've chosen
yeah,
that that's what their day becomes. It's like I'm defending this post, I'm
right.
arguing this, I'm taking in the information that I support, and it just makes me feel all warm and cozy, and I have nothing but hatred for the other side.
Well, even in how in the
Uh,
United States, like, socialism is a bad word, right? Negative word. Socialism is just something that, shouldn't even be discussed, because capitalism is the best system. And they're saying, so you're for socialized medicine, socialized healthcare. And she's like, oh, no, no, no. I just think that everybody should have healthcare. that's supplied by the government. And they're like, well, that is socialism. She's like, no, I'm not a socialist. But she couldn't see it. And it's like, it's amazing like how afraid people are of socialism, especially in the United States, because they've just been indoctrinated that capitalism is the best system. There's no other system. Capitalism is the only way. I got socialism on my front lawn. I had to shovel around it all winter. It's a fire hydrant. Fire hydrants are socialism, man. I'm not paying a monthly bill to some private company for that fire hydrant. It's paid through my taxes. Anyways, I just want to give a shout out to Jon Stewart for this week because he did like an old school episode of The Daily Show where he didn't really talk about Donald Trump at all, but he talked about how what we were talking about a little bit, the over sensationalism of is that a word? Over sensationalism?
It makes sense.
How the news, the regular cable news networks, and that overdoes it with reporting. So like, there's a new virus, right? That's I can't remember what it's called. H virus, something like that. It's like it comes from rats, and it's spreading on these cruise ships.
The Andes virus.
Andes virus? I thought it began with an H. What the heck am I thinking?
It's a strain of hantavirus.
Hantavirus. That's right. Hantavirus. So the hantavirus is spreading. So Jon Stewart did this thing where all these cable networks, your Newsmax, CNN, doesn't matter which one it is, they all get on these experts, scientists, or doctors, or whatever, and they're like, should we be worried about the hantavirus? Is it something that we should be concerned of? And they're all like, no, the way it spreads, it's not these people were on a ship, they were on a small ship and all that, and one person got it because they went off the ship and caught the thing. It's like, it's not something that we need to be concerned of. And then 15 minutes later on the broadcast, they're all like, is this something that we should be concerned of? Stay tuned next after the commercials. And it was like all in these news cycles all day, for like 2-3 days. They're all just like, that's the Jon Stewart from back in the day that would just rip into all these news outlets and that. That's the reason I can't stand, any of them anymore. I don't watch CNN or any of them.
Everything is turned to clickbait.
Well, it's not just clickbait, but those channels always had a problem with having to have content, right? Like that kind of format is great when there is a disaster and you're wanting updates on what's happening. Like 9/11, they shone, right? 9/11 is where they shone because it was like, what's going on? What's happening? Trying to deal and cope with the situation and all that. And it was, they were there with their eyes on the ground and, let's see what's happening kind of thing. But then any other regular day where it's not insane, they're completely useless. They're just speculation channels, right? They're just constantly speculating what's happening next. And it's just,
it's the old adage, war is good for business. Anytime there's a hatred, war, discrimination, anything like that, it's like, hey, we got something to talk about. We got something to get people to look at. The majority of what you see now is just advertising and just getting people like, come on, let's go complain about this.
Yeah, rage bait, the whole bit. All right. Yeah, see, I told you I could have talked another half hour with Duke about that.
There you go. Bring them on. We'll turn this into the audio only political chat.
Yeah,
for the 50+ crowd.
What do you say we talk about some
remember when we
Towers?
talked about the new games and things like that?
I don't even know what the heck's going on. I have been playing. I finally got around to playing the game Prey. It came out in 2018. And
is that based off the movie?
What
the
movie?
Predator movie?
No. No, it's its own thing. It's like it's tied in spiritually to like Half-Life and BioShock. It's one of those kind of games.
Okay.
But it's really cool. Like I tried playing it before on the Xbox and I couldn't really get into it because I was playing with the controller and I found it the experience very clunky.
Mm-hmm.
But I had it in the Epic Game Store, and
Oh, okay.
I was looking at games that you and I could play on the Epic. And I was like, oh, I haven't. Maybe I should give this a try again on the PC.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had played. Oh, I can't remember what the heck it was. I was trying to play something, and the experience on the PC was different. Anyways, it was the same deal with this game. I'm enjoying it a heck of a lot more. So yeah, you play as this person Morgan. You can either make the person a male or a female. I don't think it really changes the story either way. I went female just because what the heck, why not? And it's a first person shooter like BioShock or Half-Life.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in I'm not really spoiling anything. I'm not very far into the game, so I can't really spoil anything. But the opening is like a classic Half-Life opening where you wake up in your room. You're like in your apartment, and they say, "Hey, there's a helicopter on the roof ready to take you to work." So you go up to the
Mm-hmm.
helicopter, and the helicopter flies you to work, and then you get it to work, and they're like, "Okay, we're going to do some experiments on you," and it's just like questions. They send you into these different rooms, and they ask you questions and all that. It's kind of a hidden tutorial in the game on how to like move objects around and stuff like that. But you
Mm-hmm.
go through all
Sure.
these things and you ask like or not a skill testing question, but like a psychological question and all that. And then all of a sudden something happens and you get knocked out and you wake up in your room again.
Mm-hmm.
And this time when you go out of your room, things are a little different. Things are a little strange. Things are a little weird. There was a maintenance person in the hallway before. Now they're dead. What the heck's going
Mm-hmm.
on? And then all of a sudden the walls start glitching out. And it turns out you're in like this hologram thing in some sort of weird residence and all that. So you kind of play around with that for a bit and you're in this hologram thing and they're like, okay, there's a person that's talking to you. And it's kind of like Memento where your memory's fragmented, but you leave clues. Your former selves leaves clues for yourself in forms of
Mm-hmm.
emails that are around. And one of the emails says you could trust this person that's talking to you through the thing. So she tells you, okay, you're about to go into the next room. Now get ready because you're going to see the world for the first time. Even though like you've been there before, but your memory's been erased. So you go into the next room, and then it turns out you're on a space station beside the moon, and there's like these beings on the space station called mimics, and
Mm-hmm.
they can hide themselves, convert themselves into any object.
Okay.
So as you're walking around, like the woman tells you, okay, if you see like two, like be careful of anything you pick up. And if you see two of anything, be wary because that might be a mimic. So you got a wrench. You carry around a wrench, kind of like Gordon Freeman's crowbar.
Crowbar. Mm-hmm.
And like anytime I see like, oh, there's two chairs, and I start whacking the two chairs, see
Mm-hmm.
if one of them's a mimic, or I'll see I don't know, something on the ground. Half the time they're not mimics, but the game's got me so freaked out. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but you can play it any way you want. You can play it run and gun if you want. You can like scale down the difficulty to almost nothing, and none of the there's like bigger walking. Like they're basically these mimics. They'll get into people and they'll make them like these walking super zombie things. So like you can make it like you can just take them out with a wrench if you want to. But I'm playing on a little more difficult setting, so I have to creep around in that, which I'm liking because you can find like instead of fighting the guys, you can find areas in the room to get around them. Like I'm finding like all these like little secret passageways and that to get around them, and I'm having a good time with it. So, game came out
I
a while
looked at it
ago.
while you were talking. Yeah, I looked at it while you were talking, and it does have that BioShock or
Yeah,
what was it? What was that other creepy game? The Space Dead Space?
Dead
Is that what
Space.
it's
Yeah,
called?
yeah,
Yeah, it's
sort
got
of.
that kind
Yeah,
of a vibe.
yeah, yeah.
I
But
do
it's
have it.
first person. Yeah, do you?
Yeah,
I
I
don't know if I don't know if your
never
computer will
heard of
run
it.
it.
I think I can.
Yeah. Well, download it
Well,
and give it a try,
I'll
and
say.
maybe we'll do it for a future episode because
How
Yes.
long is this game? Is this a like
Oh,
30-hour kind of thing?
I don't think it's a short game. I'm really taking my time with it because I just want it to surprise me, and so I'm really pokey with these kind of games too. Like I just kind of sneak around and then it takes me forever to get to where I need to go because I'm looking in the environment for anything that'll give me an edge in case I run into things. And you can
Sure.
also, it's one of those games where you can save at any point. So you can
Hmm.
be experimental a little bit, like, okay, what'll happen? What happens if I go down here or whatever? And that's like, oh no, that's a bad idea. Go back to your previous save, kind of thing.
Hmm.
Which I know some people think that's cheating, but I don't. I think that they put it in there so you do that kind. You feel free to do that kind of stuff.
Oh, I'm perfectly fine with playing the game however you feel like playing it.
Yeah. So
I don't have a whole lot of patience for gaming these days. So whatever gets me through that experience is just like,
yeah,
do I
yeah.
feel like
I
thinking about this or do I just want to look it up online? It's like,
oh
ah,
yeah,
choose that. Depends what you want.
for sure. What the heck?
Mhm.
Why not? Games are meant to be fun. Have you been playing anything?
Well, I was playing around with that game I told you about the what's it called?
Oh,
Bloodshed.
Bloodshed. Yeah. I
Yes.
okay. You still playing it?
I think I finished it.
I finished it too. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to just talk about it now?
Uh, well, I got all this Faulty Towers stuff I got ready
Okay.
here, so let's save it for
Okay.
another episode.
Okay, we'll talk about it next time.
Yeah. Okay,
Uh,
are we ready to do some Faulty Towers?
yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we're coming at this from two perspectives. You have known about this show for a very long time, seen it
Yes.
over and over and over again. I know that you've referenced it several times over the years.
Let me tell you a quick story about how like I started watching this in my teens when I was a
Hmm.
teenager, and
Well,
this
this
show would
for
come up
anyone who doesn't know, this show is what, 50
from
plus years old now?
its first season was 1975, its second season was 1979.
Mhm.
Well, I have an intro here. Do you want me to do the intro? Quickly do the intro and then
Whatever you
all
got,
right.
sure.
So, okay, Fawlty Towers came out in 1975. It's a BBC show, it's a British show. And few sitcoms. It's a sitcom has had such a lasting impact, as much of a lasting impact as Fawlty Towers. The series follows the chaotic day-to-day operations of a small seaside hotel in Torquay, run by a rude, impatient, and endlessly stressed Basil Fawlty, played by John Cleese, alongside his sharp-tongued wife Sybil, his hopelessly confused waiter Manuel, and the sensible Polly, who is the housekeeper,
Jack of all
waitress
trades
that
around the yeah.
does everything. Basil Fawlty stumbles through social disasters, misunderstanding, and self-inflicted catastrophes in nearly every episode. The show was created by John Cleese and Connie Booth, who was his wife at the time.
Mhm.
The show combines razor sharp writing, escalating farce, and an unforgettable character comedy. Despite running for only 12 episodes across 2 seasons, it became one of the most celebrated British comedies ever made, influencing generations of sitcoms and comedians. The series is known for its brilliant constructed chaos. Episodes often begin with a small problem that spirals wildly out of control thanks to Basil's
Mhm.
arrogance, panic, and desperate attempts to impress guests to cover up mistakes. It's a blend of slapstick, satire, and uncomfortable social comedy that remains iconic decades later. This thing repeats itself too many times. I should have really narrowed this down, shortened this
Is
up.
that an AI generated
Oh, yes,
script?
absolutely. Come on. You think I wrote all this? This is what we do
I'm
now, man. It's
I'm
so
saying
much easier.
it doesn't flow like a Wikipedia article. It
No, no,
just
no. So for this episode, we will explore how Fawlty Towers became a comedy landmark, break down its unforgettable characters and classic episodes, and discuss why such a short-lived series still holds a legendary reputation in television history nearly 50 years later. Yeah, I keep saying the same thing over and over again. I really should have read this beforehand. Okay, so we'll talk about the origins of the show, Basil Fawlty as a character, the influence
Mhm.
on modern comedy, and whether parts of the show have aged well. It's always a fun discussion to have with Richard.
Yes, it has.
So yeah, the show was
Everything has. Everything. I don't care what the rest of society says. It all aged well.
Well, there are some N-bombs in there, but from the major, which I don't think have aged all that well. But so John Cleese created the show. He actually created it while he was with Monty Python, but this came out after he had left Monty Python. The inspiration for the show came from an actual person. His name was Donald Sinclair, and he owned a hotel in Torquay. Cleese became fascinated by Sinclair's bizarre behavior and saw huge comedic potential in it. Cleese also described Sinclair as the rudest man he has ever met. So here's some, I don't know if you knew this, but here are some real life incidences from Donald Sinclair, some real life things that he did that inspired John Cleese. And this was only during like a short stay that he had at this hotel. So first of all,
from what I heard, he and the Pythons, they were all staying there, and then things got so bad with how this guy reacted that all the rest of the Pythons left, but John Cleese stayed because he wanted to study him because he saw potential in this.
Right. So yeah, Sinclair would constantly insult or criticize guests. He would treat normal, like any sort of request that he would get, as a personal attack. Then he'd be paranoid. He was socially awkward and aggressively snobbish. And at one point, Sinclair threw a guest suitcase out the window because he thought it might contain a bomb.
That person was Eric Idle.
Was it? I didn't know that.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It was something like Eric Idle had left his suitcase at the front, and I think I don't know if it was actual that he thought it was a bomb, or if he was just frustrated that it was there, and that's what he said to justify it. But yeah, basically it was Eric Idle's suitcase that he threw
out. So the hotel itself, so not only Basil Fawlty became the inspiration, but the hotel itself that he stayed at, like the setting was the same. It's in the show, it's a small seaside hotel in Torquay. All the awkward interactions with guests, the constant tension between hospitality and chaos, and then the staff attempting to keep everything calm while everything crazy was going on. And so John Cleese was sort of famous, like he was like, Monty Python famous.
Sure.
So that's how he got the show. The expectations from the BBC was that he was going to make this kind of lighthearted comedy show that they were going to be able to crank out very inexpensive, like something like Are You Being Served, or I don't know, whatever else came out around that time, Father Ted or something like that, something they'd be able to crank out a heck of a lot of episodes. But then it turned out John Cleese became very obsessed with the show, like getting it perfect. So, obsessed about the writing, obsessed about the editing, so that's why basically the show just ended up being 12 episodes. There was 6 episodes in the first season that came out in 1975, because it basically took John Cleese from the time he left Monty Python, I think in 71 or 2. It took him that long to get Fawlty Towers up and running in 75. And then it took him and Connie Booth another 4 years to get the second season of 6 episodes out, because they would just obsess over the writing and get everything perfect. So yeah, and then eventually, John Cleese didn't feel like doing another 6 episodes after that because he didn't want to spend another 4 years working on another 6 shows. He wanted to do other things, and he felt like, maybe the show would be not as good. Quality might decline with another season. So that's why you only get 12. And it's kind of remarkable how that became a thing in the BBC. And it's kind of commonplace now in the United States, where, TV shows have cut down the number of episodes that they do.
Yeah.
You look at something like it's all Curb Your Enthusiasm, or It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where they only do about 10 episodes a season, and cut it for quality, right? Let's just do 10 quality episodes, instead of the old school like Mary Tyler Moore or those kind of shows where they would do 25 episodes in a season, and it was just like a sausage factory, just crank out the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I'm in favor of it. I mean, years ago, I never understood um, that style of like, well, there's only one season of something or just a few episodes, but if you've got the quality, if you've taken the time to get it just right and it shines on every level, then by all means, I'd rather have 6 or 12 fantastic episodes and then move on,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, I'm still going through Next Generation right now, and I appreciate that there are 7 seasons of that show. But in retrospect, if you could have like said, "Well, we're not gonna do these kind of lesser episodes, and we're really gonna focus on the good ones," I would love to take like 4 or 5 solid seasons and then, cut out the chaff there.
You're not going to like this, but I'm going to bring this back to capitalism versus socialism. Because those big 24
Well,
episode seasons, that's capitalism. Crank out
absolutely, yes.
cheap, make them cheap, run as many commercials as we possibly can. Whereas Faulty Towers, that BBC is a socialized network.
Yeah.
He would
Well,
be
yeah,
able to
it's
do
it's
that.
absolutely all business. That's it. If you can make money off it and say, look, just get them out, crank them out, get people watching, get those ad breaks. Sure.
So let's just talk about the characters of the show because there's only really 4 main ones, so we can
Mhm.
bang them all out. So we kind of talked about Basil Fawlty already. Snobbish, angry, insecure, constantly spiraling out of control. He's
Mhm.
obsessed with class and appearances. Um,
Yes.
but what I like about Basil Fawlty is that John Cleese didn't just make him a mean character, but he made him he's all full of this social anxiety, right? And wanting to appear that he is of a higher class than
Hmm.
what he really is, and that's
Hmm.
why he's always sucking up to like doctors or someone with any sort of title, uh,
Sure.
which was a big thing in England. Um, I don't know if it's as much now, but it really was, 50 years ago. Like your class, like I've read Eric Idle's book and stuff. Like your class was what got you the better job, right?
Hmm.
What got you the better house where you got to live and all that. So it was a huge thing. And at the 70s, they were starting to try to break away from that. So it's that was part of the comedy, watching him cling on to this old way of doing things where society
Hmm.
was moving away from it to the point where the people who had the status, like the doctor or the whomever, didn't really care. They didn't really care to be sucked up to. They didn't really look for special treatment. But Basil Fawlty was there to try to provide them with all this stuff that they didn't even ask for.
Hmm.
Yeah, and Basil Fawlty's not a nice character. He's not a nice person. Probably someone you wouldn't want to meet, but he's fun to watch. That's
Exactly. Yes. He's fun to watch, and you do get a sense of why he's out of control. Again, what you said of he's just trying to grow his business, his capitalistic business. He
yeah,
wants that higher clientele. So he's got to do what he's got to do. He's not. It's that paradox where he's unhappy in his position, but he still wants to succeed. He feels like he can be happy if only he gets the higher clientele and the hotel starts running better and making more money. But at the same time, he'd still be the miserable person because every problem
yeah,
that comes along, he would just, even if he had the higher clientele, there would just be another instance where it's like, oh, I got to deal with this. What do you want now?
yeah. And that's the ridiculousness of it. It's like he thinks that having this higher status is going to elevate him somehow, and it's really not going to do anything. He's still going to be seen as a guy who
He's
runs
gonna
a
be,
hotel. You
he's
know,
still gonna be the same person
yeah.
regardless.
I do like in how like so many instances too. He's the villain and the victim at the same time. most of the time it's his own doing.
He's like Wile E. Coyote. He gets
Yeah.
hurt by his own actions.
That's a good way of looking at it. Sybil Fawlty, his wife, who is a co-owner of the hotel as well. She seems to be the real authority of the hotel, and Basil always seems to be a little afraid of her.
Yes.
Perfectly willing to say whatever is on his mind behind his back or under his breath, but when she comes at him, he backs down right away. Unless we're right at the end of an episode where there's a couple of times where he tries to manhandle her and for comedic purposes. It's never really explained why that relationship is the way it is. I always got the impression that she comes from money, and so she might have like the higher stake in the hotel. Like I think
I was just browsing through this before we started, and hang on, let me pull it right back up. In the Wikipedia article, there's a bit here. Prunella Scales speculated in an interview for the completely Fawlty Towers DVD box set that Sybil married Basil because his origins were of a higher social class than hers.
Oh, really?
So I guess that's how she approached it. Of that, you know, she basically has the same condition that Basil does in a different way, where she is interested in the status and everything, and that's why she got with him. But she's now stuck in that position where, uh-oh, I married someone beneath me, and I have to try to,
Yeah, I guess so. Like
control him.
she seems to be okay though with like whoever comes into the hotel, as long as they're going to pay, right? As long as they're paying
Right.
guests, she's not bothered by what their status is.
Right, which would make sense from her perspective, how she was treating the character of,
Right.
we're fortunate to be
Right.
here.
Right.
Let's not, we
Yeah.
got a good thing going here. It's not the
Yeah.
greatest thing in the world, but we could be doing far worse.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you do get that from her. I'm not going to disagree with Prunella Scales on the character. So that is
Yeah.
got to be one of the most British names I have ever heard. Prunella. I don't-
Yes, because often I hear it abbreviated as Pruny, which
Pruny.
doesn't have the greatest
Pruny.
ring to it,
Yeah.
from an American perspective, at least. But
Then we have Manuel, played by Andrew Sachs. So, I mean, he's basically the comic relief of the show. He only speaks Spanish, very little English. A lot of we'll get into it a little bit later. There's a little bit of controversy over time with the character. But yeah, most of the comedy with him is language misunderstandings and I know nothing and I learned it from a book and all that stuff. And then finally we have Polly Sherman, who is the like we said, she's like the jack of all trades at the place. She's probably the most stable one of the show, the one that has it all together. And I find that a lot of times she's a bit of the Winston Zedmore of the show, where things need to be explained, and she's the one that the plot or gets explained to. Things get explained to through her, like what do they call that? The surrogate of the audience, surrogate kind of thing.
Could be, sure, yeah. I mean, you get that little bit of an exposition of like, here's what's happening in this episode, but we have to explain it to the person who's got to, do all these different things. And
Right.
Sure. But yeah, I guess in that way, she is the most stable person that if you were somehow projected into that, you would most identify with her because you're not one of these, completely extreme characters.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Sybil's that extreme, but
No, but she is a bit cold at times.
oh yeah, yeah.
And I think most people would side with Basil in certain situations where he's running around, handling all the guests in
yes.
at reception and in the lunchroom, and then she's just on the phone chatting. And
that would be like that'd be an instance where he's the victim, right? Where she's like focused on one guest and she's chatting away and all that. But you kind of get the impression that she is stuck like in this situation with Basil Fawlty, and that's kind of her like, okay, like you're the one that wanted to run this hotel and do all this
Mhm.
stuff, so you're gonna, you know, you're gonna step up and do all this stuff while I'm going to do the bare minimum kind of thing.
Mhm. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not always. Sometimes, but not always. But she is way more organized and
She's much more
she,
organized. I think the very last episode was, the health inspector came and
yeah,
said, "You got all these problems." Immediately,
yeah,
she
and
got
you
the
can
gloves
see,
on, cleaning, like, "Let's get this settled," and
sh-
Basil's the one who's just,
yeah,
he's off on another tangent.
yeah, right. Well, and at on the first episode with the guy, oh, I can't remember his name. Pretty bad. I've only seen the show 50 million times, but the guy that's supposed to build the fence, and he's horrible at his job. He's the Irish guy who's like not very good at his job, and then they get him to so Sybil wants someone with more credibility to do some
Yes.
work inside the hotel, to move a door and put another door in the hotel. And
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly, that's right. And Basil turns around and gets O'Reilly, who was supposed to put up a fence months ago but never did,
Mhm.
and gets him to do this inside work because he wants to save. He's frugal. He wants to save some money.
Mhm.
And Basil's like, just pay, or Sybil's like, just pay for, you pay for what you get, kind of thing. Pay the money
Mhm.
for a good contractor and not waste your money on O'Reilly. By the way, that those early episodes, that set that they had, they improved it in the second season, but that first season, that set could barely contain John Cleese. It was what moving
I
and
I don't
waggling
think
all over
they improved it that much in the second
a little
season
bit.
because those walls shake all the time.
They barely could hold him. Barely could hold him.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about the show itself
Mhm.
and its structure and why it
Mhm.
works, and then we could talk about some classic episodes. So yeah, the show is basically escalating disasters. It's always something that starts off small and then you know gets
Spirals way out of
spirals
control.
out of control. And Basil is like his own worst enemy. He can't stop making it worse. It was different for its time. Like if you watch a lot of modern shows now, you might not. It might be difficult to go and try to and discover why it was so different for its time, because at the time a lot of 70s shows were more relaxed. It was the same gags over and over again.
Mhm.
um you know they were structured like they were doing basically what I like to call the honeymooners kind of thing, like that kind of formula at the honeymooners speed. It'd be like the honeymooners were like a sketch from like a sketch show that was just stretched out into a half hour. Not that it was
Mhm.
bad or anything like that. It's just like that was where television was at. That's where the sitcom was at. Whereas uh Faulty Towers had like this structure. It was almost like a mathematically structured. There'd be a small problem, and then Basil would either lie or panic. Then the situation would escalate, and then it'd be total
Mhm.
chaos. And that was basically just every episode. And the fun thing is that you as a viewer get to witness every step as it would occur. You're there,
Yeah.
and I think that's what made the show so credible, because when you're witnessing it, like you're with Basil at the beginning, like, oh, okay, these small things are kind of happening in that, and then as it spirals out of control, it's just like an early version of cringe too. Like cringe comedy has become a huge thing, especially over the last 25 years or so, with like the British Office and Curb Your
Mhm.
Enthusiasm and that, where you cringe with the character. Like there wasn't really another show on television that would do that, where you would cringe. Like you were always laughing at Archie Bunker or some dumb character on those old sitcoms. Whereas Fawlty Towers, like the first one where you felt like really cringe, and that was funny.
Mm. Except for when they cut it out. There's one episode where there's a little bit that I had to check I thought I might have had an edited DVD, but apparently they just cut the scene out because, well, the
Is that
BBC cut it. They thought it was too extreme.
where Kurt the baker pukes on? Yeah, okay.
Yes, because there's an awkward cut there.
Yes.
And you know what happens? You get the reaction, but it
Yes.
just
Yeah.
feels like the censor said, "Nope,
Yeah.
couldn't
Yeah.
couldn't cut it out." Yeah.
And I feel that that's the only time that happened, right? Like I
I
never
think
really
so. That
picked up
it
on
stuck
anything.
out. Yeah.
Anyways, the show pacing as well. Like, so the show was
Well,
not only like written incredibly, like they would spend weeks writing the script. They would also rehearse before they would perform the show before a live audience. Like they had a rehearsal schedule that was much larger than any other show, and that was for timing and pacing. They wanted everything like to flow, to have like a really frantic and chaotic flow, which you really didn't get in any other sitcom at the time. And
that's what I was going
then
to add. You
yeah,
talked about the structure, but the pacing is so important because so much of it is that fast, quippy dialogue
yeah,
that all lands so well, but then
yeah,
also especially John Cleese, his manic, you know, physical acting and all the slapstick stuff,
yes,
where it's amazing how tight it comes in. And sometimes, there's a little overlap, like somebody steps on the other person's line a little bit,
a little
but
bit.
that's, for the show. I mean, because it's not even. I guess I don't know if BBC sitcoms ran differently, but the episodes were more like 30 minutes rather than 22 minutes with commercials.
Yeah, that was
They're a
common.
little bit longer.
Yeah. That was common for all British TV shows because they didn't run commercials. Like
Okay.
in England, you don't. The BBC was subscriber based. You bought a TV license,
Mhm.
and that's how you
Got
watch
it.
TV,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
Um, and then so the last thing was that John Cleese would spend a month on every episode editing it, cutting
Hmm.
everything, getting the pace, getting everything just so. So yeah, that's why the show felt more fast and uh, chaotic than anything that was on television at the time.
And it certainly has that. It feels like it's coming from, the source. Like, this isn't something where the studio's in there they're all like, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to have this, what you get now, the corporate think and the committee think of
Yeah.
putting something together. This feels like, okay, one or two people had this idea and they developed it, and they were given pretty much free reign to develop it in the way that they wanted to, and you get a nice product that works and it has a distinct voice and style to it.
Yeah, and they tried to recreate it a few times in the United States. There was a show, oh damn, I can't remember what it was called, but it was Harvey Korman was the John Cleese character, and Betty White, fresh off the Mary Tyler Moore show, was the Sybil
uh
Fawlty character.
Chateau Snavely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is not easy to watch. And so the thing that they got the premise there, but the thing is that they miss it with American television, that is that they tried to take it and stretch it out into like those 24 episode format, and you just can't carry like that frantic feeling from the original series into you know into a long series like that. I mean, I suppose they did that with The Office because like the British
Mhm.
Office is follows pretty much the Fawlty Towers uh format of just 6 episodes per season. And then
Mhm.
they did convert it into uh but it was a single camera show, right? It wasn't a sitcom kind of thing. So
Right. And the
yeah.
one thing about Faulty Towers is it mostly is in real time. There are certain things where it's like, okay, we go to the next day,
Yeah.
you'll do that, but large chunks of it are just like, something is happening. You get like 10 minutes of
Yeah.
uninterrupted back and forth, running here and there, jumping back and forth. This person comes in, this person goes out. Everything,
Yeah.
like you said, it's timed so well so that it can keep that pace. And in one of the interviews I saw, John Cleese was talking about, would he ever do it again? And he said he had an idea for a film, but he wouldn't want to do it because films have to have that up and down, your highs and lows, and it would affect the pacing of that product, and it needed to be fast in order to work properly. So there's no other way to do it. He needed it in those 30-minute chunks. That was the perfect format for it.
Yeah, and Fawlty Towers doesn't really have an like ups and downs like traditional storytelling does. I mean, I suppose it does a little bit sometimes, but for the most part, like the arc is just straight, like just that up. Like sometimes you get
I think
a
that like the downbeats would just be, someone like I'm blanking on her name now. What's Connie Booth's character? Polly.
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 Yeah, yeah,
Polly come in and just, she would come in and interject some common sense, or
right.
Sybil would come in and try to halt Basil on something,
Yeah,
or Manuel comes in and he has like his little joke or something, and that kind of cuts
I
Basil's
don't know if it
energy
brings it
down.
down.
Just
It
it,
just
it
kind of
halts it
levels it.
for a
Yeah,
moment. Yeah.
levels it for a bit, because like it would be like, oh, okay, this might work, and then it never does.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, just how it's affected modern television. I think like for the longest time on American television, you didn't really see its influence until the subscription based television series started coming up, like basically HBO and those kind of things, where you could have shorter seasons and fewer episodes, fewer quality, like put quality over quantity, where you couldn't do that in network TV because just how the model is. So, uh, yeah, that's basically its influence on television altogether. So I just wanted to talk about some of my favorite episodes.
Mhm.
So I'll just bring up the Germans. I don't
Mhm.
because the Germans is probably the most famous episode of the series. It's probably the thing that people know most. Don't bring up the wall. The thing that
It
uh like watching it this time, I watched the series this time with a little more not critical eye, but just more like thinking about what I'm going to talk about and stuff like that. And I never noticed that Germans episode, all the famous bits where he does like it's not really a goose step walk, but
it's
it's
kind
kind
of
of,
a combination of his ministry of silly walks
yeah,
and the goose step combined.
yeah. And with his finger under the nose to mimic, so
Which
basically, and
I'll
if you,
just show you.
sure,
Sorry if this is a visual, but that's what's on the DVDs.
that's awesome. Yeah, see that it's the most iconic episode. It's like the episode that people probably like. If you don't know anything about Fawlty Towers, you might have seen that imagery at some point. And you know, watching it this time, like if you don't know, in this episode, Basil Fawlty has a head injury, and he's kind of out of it a little bit. And there are Germans staying at the hotel, and this is 1970s Germany, so we're only about 30 years past World War II.
Mhm.
And he's obsessed with not bringing up the war to these German peoples because it's very upsetting to them. But
Mhm.
because he has this head injury, he just keeps letting it slip out, and then he tries to
Mhm.
make jokes to cover it up. And one of his jokes is that he does the goose step thing. But the amazing thing about that episode that I've never noticed before, but watching it this time, all that German stuff doesn't happen until the last 10 to 5 minutes of that episode. Like
Yeah,
the rest
that's
of it is
that's
all,
that's the climax.
yeah. But like
Everything before that is don't mention the war. Don't mention the war.
well, yeah, and well, like I think Sybil has a ingrown toe, and she has to go to the hospital, and they have
Mhm.
some one of the very few times that you actually see them outside of the hotel in the
Mhm.
series. But all that stuff. it's just a build up to that last 10 minutes. And I remember, like, one of the breaks in the show, and I turned to Sarah and I'm like, "We haven't even gotten to the Germans yet."
Mm.
But I won't say I have like a favorite or any sort of favorite episode, because every episode, I think, to me is just, for me, is just a gem. But there are 3 episodes that I do think stand out that I hesitate to say my favorite, but when they come on, it's like I gotta watch the whole thing. I'm not stopping it for anything. So one of my favorite episodes is Communication Problems. That's the episode with Mrs. Richards. Do you remember her?
Hang on a second. I've watched all of these once. I need to go back and.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the first one of the second. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's the one. Yeah, where she so Mrs. Richards is like a cantankerous older woman. She's probably my age now, who is staying at the hotel. She has hearing problems. So she has a hearing aid, but she doesn't keep it on because she doesn't want to wear out the battery. And she
Yes.
doesn't, even if she had the hearing aid turned on, she doesn't listen very well. And Basil and her do not get on the right foot at all. She actually doesn't get on the right foot with anybody.
Mhm.
And that is just one of my favorite scenes when she complains. So she gets her hotel room. She wants a hotel room with a bath and a view of the ocean.
Mhm.
And so she sends down Manuel because he brings her bags up to the room. She sends him down to grab Basil Fawlty because there's no bath in her room. So he goes upstairs. He's like, "What's the problem?" She's like, "There's no bath." He's like, he opens up the door. And he's like, "There's the bath." And she says, "Yeah, you couldn't even drown a mouse in there." And then she says, I wanted a room with a view of the ocean."
Mm.
And, just in that Basil Fawlty sarcastic, he's like, "Let me look out the window and let me see. And yes, I believe there is the ocean there." And she looks out. She's like, "I can't see it. Where is it?" She's like, "It's right there between the land and the sky."
In the sky.
Yeah, that one
And
is
that's
just
the one where he goes off into, what did you expect to see? Herds of wild buffalo, and
yeah.
which
Yeah.
yeah, it's there are some, like you said, every episode has that kind of a moment.
Yeah.
There's always at least 2 or 3 standout things from every episode where you
Well,
say, yes, you got to watch it for this.
see, that's a good example of, like, at the beginning, she is a villain. Mrs. Richards is the villain of the story, and you're with Basil Fawlty because he's a victim of this woman, and he is just. It's almost like those mafia movies, where you're with the mafia people at the beginning when, the abusive husband, like, I'm crying. I'm so my
He
my
actually
eye
is.
is my eye is stinging. I rubbed
Oh my
my eye
goodness,
with my
what'd you
finger. I
do?
don't know. I rubbed my eye with my finger, and that was it. I'm done
Wash your
now.
fingers once in a while.
Wash? What's that? My goodness. It's allergy season starting up, and I did some work outside, so that's it.
Oh, I gotcha. I've been using that nose spray like 5 times a day.
Oh, maybe I should start doing that.
Hmm.
But yeah, like, that's where it starts, that he is the victim because she plays a villain, and you're on his side because he's just being so rude to her, and it's just hilarious because she's so much of a miserable person, and he's doing things that you wish that he could do. But within that's the episode where he also places a bet on some horses that he's not supposed to be placing a bet, and then he wins some money, and so then he gets his winnings from someone who placed a bet for him off the thing. So he gets his money, and then Mrs. Richards loses some money. So then her money turns. So basically, Basil ends up having to give her his money, but then her money turns up, and it turns out to be more money. And he doesn't he's not honest about it, right? He doesn't give her the correct amount and all that. So then that's where it turns. Like, that's where the episode turns. And now he's the villain now because he's trying to get away with more than what he's supposed to. Like, he'd have 95 pounds instead of 75 pounds. And Yeah. Good stuff. Okay, so that's one of my favorite. I also love Gourmet Night. That is the episode where they tried to turn the restaurant in the hotel into like a fancy restaurant. They want to have like a fancy evening, and he puts an ad in the newspaper to bring in some high clientele to this event, and he puts in the ad no riffraff.
No riffraff.
But
brilliant
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah,
I should say, for anyone who hasn't watched it, hearing it out of John Cleese's mouth, this stuff is 20 times funnier than.
Yeah, I
anything
know.
you
I'm not
can quote
doing
here.
any of it any justice whatsoever. Maybe I'll throw some clips in. Maybe that'll be my extra. I'll throw some clips in from the show. That's the extra bonus you get from not making me have to do a video version.
Just make them do different work.
Yeah. Yeah. How dumb am I? I'll just try to cut some stuff out and then I end up doing more stuff. But yeah, that's another great. That's the episode where so he's trying to do that, and the cook ends up having he's not supposed to be drinking. He's a drunk, and he ends up drinking because he tries to make out with Manuel, and Manuel rejects him. So then he gets all depressed. Very, very progressive of the show to have a gay character like that on the show. But Manuel rejects him, so he kind of loses it. And so then Basil Fawlty has to get meals from a friend who owns a restaurant in town to bring in. And he was supposed to get his car fixed at the beginning of the episode. And, Sybil Fawlty's telling him to just take it into the garage to get it fixed, but he thinks he can do it himself. So that's what on the down low, he tries to fix the car himself. Anyways, he's driving the car back and forth to the restaurant. Eventually, the car breaks down, and he gives the car a thrashing of a lifetime.
Yes.
He grabs a tree branch and just starts hitting the car.
There's an interview where he talks about that too, of just how much he was thinking about it. It's so refreshing when you have someone of John Cleese's caliber explain comedy and why it works and why it doesn't, and the minutia of it, because he was talking about how far the car should be away from the camera. The kind of branch he was using. He said he had one, but it was too stiff. He had one that was too soft, and it's like it had to be just right.
Yeah.
And it had to be, the dialogue had to be coming from a distance. They weren't miking him closely. It was like all those little details of why that scene works the way it does. And it's someone who's not in tune with it wouldn't get it just right, which is why when they try to make reproduce it and have someone else like, hey, let's do this formula, you're not getting the details right. You're not getting all the things that make the show work in there. And he had an eye for that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the how thick the stick was. Like it has to be that right amount of elasticity where he's not doing any harm to the car, really. Like it's futile, right? But it can't be too thin where he would recognize that what he's doing is futile. It's brilliant.
Proper amount of funny, yes.
And my final episode that I love so much, Waldorf salad, partly because it makes fun of Americans and their arrogance and I want a Waldorf salad. I'm going to bust your ass if I don't get my Waldorf salad. And Basil Fawlty's like, it's all about bottoms with you Americans, isn't it? If you don't know this episode, this big loudmouth American comes in, and Basil Fawlty doesn't like him, even though the guy doesn't really do anything wrong. He's fine. He's just big and
he's just arrogant.
Yeah. But he doesn't get off with Basil much. But then, he comes in late and he wants a dinner. But the kitchen's going to be closed in 5 minutes. So he gives Basil 20 pounds, which I looked up. In 1975, that would be the amount, an equal amount to 100 pounds, which would be around almost 150 American dollars
Hmm.
in today's money. So imagine a guy comes in, 150 bucks. Tell the chef to stay because I want something to eat. Well, Basil Fawlty, of course, doesn't do that. He tries to bribe the chef with a couple of hours of overtime, an hour and a half, I think, of overtime. And the chef's just like, nah, I've got. He said that he has class to go to, but he actually had
A chippy.
a chippy. That's right.
Chippy.
So yeah, the chef ends up leaving, and Basil ends up pocketing the money and trying to fix this guy a meal on his own when he doesn't really know how to do anything other than make.
Well, he doesn't know what a Waldorf salad is.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So the guy orders a Waldorf salad, tells him how to make it, and he still doesn't know where the ingredients are. But that was one of my favorite parts of that episode, is where he is in the kitchen running back and forth, trying to weasel out of making this Waldorf salad. Meanwhile, Sybil is just in the kitchen. She finds all the ingredients and she makes it for him, serves it to him. And they're like, oh, it's fine. It's all good. And Basil Fawlty comes out with another excuse why he can't make him a Waldorf salad, when meanwhile the Waldorf salad is sitting right there. And then I think he picks up the Waldorf salad to go yell at the chef. Meanwhile, the chef's not there. This is just like an imaginary thing that he's doing.
He just needs to cover his own. It doesn't matter that the problem has been rectified.
Right.
He needs to cover his own tracks to save face. So he takes the salad back while the guy's eating it and yells at the imaginary chef just so that he can bring it out again and, be the hero.
I think there's... Go ahead. I've been talking.
No, I'm just going to say the same thing over again. There's brilliant stuff in every episode. And that's one section of the 30 minutes there. And I never found any moment where I was bored or felt like, this is dragging. When are they going to get to the good stuff? Every moment of every episode worked. It's all effective. It's fantastic.
All right. Now it's time for Richard's favorite part of the show. This is where we talk about some of the controversy and watching it.
Let me say one more positive thing before you get into this. Now, this is something that I'm still not sure if this is how architecture works in some cases, or if this was done just for the fun of it. You know what I'm going to talk about. When you get to the second floor, you get to the second floor, there's this landing. They go up the stairs, and then there's this little turnaround. It's like you go up the stairs, you're on the level, but then there's this other little landing of stairs that goes up again and down and comes out. So instead of just getting to the top of the stairs and walking into the hall, there's this little mountain of stairs they go through. And the first episode that you see it is one where he's been down, running frantically. So I wasn't sure, is that an actual architectural detail from, classic European architecture, or is that just there because it looks silly when John Cleese has to run back and forth?
So my understanding, it's a little of column A and column B. It's a little bit of both. So back when that building would have been built, there would have been like no interior plumbing, right? So a lot of times, in order to find space to add in a toilet on the floor, your plumbing would have to run through, the stairs. So that was a way of getting around like that kind of thing, or electrical work or whatever it is. But yeah. So like if you go into like some older places that were like an old castle that was converted into, especially in the 70s, I don't know about now, but back then, you'd have like these ridiculous things, but it was also done for comedic effect. I mean,
that's certainly what it looks like. At least they used it to great effect.
It's a Fawlty Tower. It's got faults.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So some of the controversies, the stereotyping of Manuel. There's a thing in the UK. Probably in the United States too. I don't know. We don't have it in Canada, but that foreigners are incompetent and can't. It's a bit of a stereotype. I'm just kidding. We have that in Canada as well. But yeah, he's a Spanish waiter with limited English and that. So, do you think, Richard, that the tr- the portrayal of Manuel is
Mhm.
something that um, hasn't aged well, and it's like in some sort of mean spirit towards immigrants, or is it just comedy is in the misunderstanding and the
Comedy is
slapstick?
in the misunderstanding, that's
All
it.
right.
It doesn't bother me in the slightest. I'm not even, like, trying to put, like, a face on or anything. It doesn't bother me at all. I think this goes back to what we were talking about with social media and the way things are presented nowadays. There tends to be an exaggeration of, you know, the victimization of a group or something. People feel like, "Oh, we're being trodden upon," and I can differentiate an individual from a group. I'm also old enough and mature enough that I can handle the humor. I don't see it as being anything mean-spirited. I see it as an individual character. That's the joke,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know? And as much as you want to, I don't know, some people like to complain like immigrants are shown poorly in Western things. I am, in a sense, an immigrant. I have been living overseas for quite a while. I am the
Yeah.
minority.
Yeah.
My language ability is very much inferior to the local natives here. I was at the doctor the other day and I had a little difficulty explaining something to the point that the nurse laughed at my Japanese, not laughing at me, but just because of the situation. I was Manuel in that situation where my ability to express what I wanted to express was not up to the native standard. She wasn't laughing at me or being mean to me. It was just a humorous situation because I couldn't do it.
Right.
That's how it is. People who immigrate to other countries don't always have a strong grasp of the language or the customs. It's not mean, it's just truth.
Right.
And there are people that come over and they have a fantastic grasp of the language and they are uh, highly skilled professionals who become doctors and lawyers and politicians. Both exist.
Yeah. You're hold on to your hats, folks. I agree with Richard. I think it
Yeah.
was I think a lot of people are kind of miss the joke as well. Like
Mhm.
so, like anytime an incident would happen with Manuel, whether it was his fault or not, if it happened in front of a guest, their explanation for this thing that just happened in front of him that wasn't right was that, well, he's from Barcelona.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people take that as like, well, that's just them, like, eh, they just see everybody from Barcelona as like that. But the joke was is that didn't explain anything.
Mhm.
That's the joke. It's like
It's just
they
like they're
brush
trying to
it
put a Band-Aid on it. Yeah.
exactly. They're trying to brush it off as well. He's from Barcelona. Like that explains it, right? So yeah, that's a joke.
No,
I'm okay with that
that
as
stuff
well.
doesn't bother me. That is, I think, an example of people just they're not looking at the show, they're not following along and trying to understand it. It's just, "Oh, I heard that someone made fun of someone. Oh, I'm against that. Let me be
Right.
angry about it." Yeah.
Well, the other thing that's kind of pointed at too is that Manuel. So the show takes place. So the filming of the show takes place over 4 years, and the fact that Manuel has been there for 4 years and he still hasn't learned any English, so that looks poorly on them. But I've always thought of the show as not necessarily supposed to be taking over the span of 4 years. Like if you
No.
look at Basil the Rat, which is one of the I think it's the second last episode.
It's the last episode.
Okay, I think on my DVDs it was the second last episode. I don't know if my DVDs might be in out of order. Anyways, in that
I'm going off the Wikipedia. It's
okay,
listed as the last.
okay. So let's say it's the last episode. He said he's had the rat for a year, and I've always taken that to be uh how long Manuel has been there. Like how
Sure.
that's how I've always looked at it. It's like it's always the show is always has taken place. Everything that's taken place within the show has been a year. So that's I don't know. That's how I look at it.
I've never even thought of it like I don't think about it like that with any sitcom. If it's not a matter of like a constantly progressing story, if it's just like here's a funny episode, Taxi or The Honeymooners or anything like that, it's just another day. I
Right.
don't
Yeah. Yeah.
literally take it as I saw this one a year ago and now it's like it's just another funny episode here. That's it. These people aren't real. It's jokes.
Right. Okay. So another thing that people complain about is
Although,
Baz. Oh, yes.
sorry, I just on the Manuel topic, John
Yeah.
Cleese pointed out in one of the interviews is that as much as Basil is always, beating down on, literally beating him at some
Yes.
times,
Yes.
which again, it's just a joke. It's just um, what it is. Um, he's always pointing out that Manuel is always trying. As much
Yes.
as you look at all the characters, Basil is the worst of them all. But Manuel is the one who's like, look, I'm just trying to help you. I'm
Right.
here. I'm working. I'm doing everything you want me to. Just because I can't do it to the way you want me to do it, I'm still giving you everything. So he's like the kindest, nicest character.
Yeah. He really hits him on the head in that one episode with the frying pan. By the way, that
I've
that
heard. I saw
that
something about
gong
that, like it was an actual metal frying pan.
that gong that you hear, that's actual frying pan hitting Andrew Sachs in the head. The poor guy.
Mm.
Okay, so another thing is Basil Fawlty's treatment of the staff. I don't know. A lot of people have an issue with that. Uh,
The staff, the guests, everybody.
everybody, yeah, he's not like I think that people really don't understand that he's not meant to be a nice guy. He's not meant to be somebody that you look up to, that someone that you appreciate. Like I don't know how many characters have to be in front of you on television to realize that like not every character is nice. And if you don't like it, if you don't like that, I will only want to watch shows with characters that I like. Cool, fine. But to say that like like a show is bad because or people shouldn't watch this show, other people shouldn't enjoy this show because the character is nasty. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I've never heard that. I haven't looked into all the criticisms of the show, but it's that just seems like another one of those people's understanding of the world, like people that have an image of themselves being very pure and the only it has to be outside forces that are negative. Like there's no bad qualities about yourself. You're not
Right.
willing to admit that.
Right.
And that's what this is. Like there's not like this character is always right and then everyone else is just dumping on them and they're the victim and that's how the only way you can play it. It's like no, everybody
Yeah.
has their selfish tendencies. They have their biases and their wants and their desires and they sometimes do whatever they need to get it.
Yeah. Like he treats everybody terribly. So yeah.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
forgot
he locks the one woman in with a corpse.
Yeah. um I forgot to mention too about Manuel. Manuel is there at the hotel because Basil Fawlty wanted to save money. He was cheap labor.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to learn Spanish before he hired Manuel. He said he could speak the language and the language barrier won't be a problem. Meanwhile, Basil never learned the language either. He never learned
No, I
it.
think like once or twice in the early episodes, he's like trying
He tries,
to
yeah.
communicate him, but then later on, he's just constantly yammering on. But
Gives up.
Manuel's English actually does improve as you go on. If you
Yeah.
check the later
Well,
episodes, he does communicate much more effectively.
he has a book, remember? I learn English. I speak it very well. I learn it from a
Yeah.
book.
But there's also a great line from Basil in one of the later episodes where he's talking about getting the pigeons out of the water cooler. And he's like,
Piggy Onks.
pigeon, like you're English.
Yeah, so I mean, again, it was I think the character it's meant to reflect poorly on Basil Fawlty, how he treats his staff, how he treats everybody. This is all meant to reflect poorly on him and how terrible he is. He's not meant to be somebody to look up to. Or I don't know. It seems like
You're really shocking me with like I don't doubt that there are people who need to be told this, but the
yeah,
fact
they
that you
are.
have to explain it is like,
I
yeah, there are. I can't understand somebody not
You
getting
don't
this.
know how many people I've talked to. They won't watch Seinfeld. They won't watch Curb Your Enthusiasm. They won't watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They won't watch The Office. They won't
Mhm.
because they don't like the characters in the show. The characters are nasty. The characters are bad. Okay, that's fine. But again, to go out of your way to say that nobody should watch the show because the characters are nasty or fine.
Mm.
But to me, it's just that's the point. Not every I enjoy watching
Yeah.
terrible people. I do. They're funny to watch.
Well, to reference another British comedian, Ricky Gervais had a line that I think is brilliant. He said, I can laugh at the wrong thing because I know what the right thing is." That-
Right.
That's it. People get
Yeah.
it or they don't.
Right. Exactly. That's a good way of looking at it. Shows you why The Office, the British version of The Office, was heavily inspired by this series. Okay. One last thing. Do you think Fawlty Towers could be made today? Whoa.
Well, it's one of those, could Ghostbusters be made today?
Right.
It's another one. It's that perfect combination. You had the right people at the right time, and they all were willing to pool in on this is what the show is about. And you had you can't replace John Cleese. You can't replace I wouldn't say you could replace any of them because they had that chemistry. They all worked together. So sure, you can make a show where you got the nasty owner and the hapless waiter and the strict wife and the common sense person. It's not going to be the same.
I forgot to mention they did so. But the Snapely Manor was one of the efforts to bring Fawlty Towers to the United States. There was another one. I remember watching this in the early night. Well, I can't remember. I can't remember if it was after John Larroquette was done with Night Court or if he was done with the John Larroquette show. But one of those shows he was finished with, and his next project was a show called Major Pain. And it was
Pain.
Major Pain.
Wasn't that a Damon Wayans movie?
I think so. Wait, or was the show called Major Pain, or was his character just called? Let's see, Major Pain. Wait. Am I misremembering? TV show John Larroquette. Pain. Okay, the show was just called Pain, but his character was called Major Pain. And it came out in 1999, which I guess would have been after the John Larroquette show. How many episodes did it last? We got 9 episodes of that show. And yeah, that was another effort to bring Fawlty Towers. And yeah, it was not good. Not good at all. They had within the first season they had 9 episodes, so they almost had as many episodes as the original series. I just dropped my water bottle. Oh well. Yep.
I'm reading up on something here. In 2016, Cleese reprised his role as Basil in a series of TV adverts for high street optician chain Specsavers. The same year, Cleese and Booth reunited to create and co-write the official theatrical adaptation of Fawlty Towers. So there was a stage show of
Oh
this
yeah.
too, huh?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm curious to see these commercials though with Basil selling glasses.
And then here's another one in the 70s. Wait. Sorry, in the 80s. So this would have been after the show Maude, starring B. Arthur. They tried another kick after, I guess, Stapley Manor. They tried another kick at the Fawlty Towers, bringing it to the States. They called this one Amanda's, and this had B. Arthur playing the Basil Fawlty character. So it was a gender switch. So she was the one who saw Snobby. Let's see, how many episodes did this one last? In 1983.
13.
13 episodes. Oh, and 3 of them were unaired. Wow. So three attempts to bring it. But it's good. It's good that this one failed, because we would not have gotten Golden Girls if
there you go.
So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something, of course, you can try. And you never know. You might have an instance where you can get, okay, we're going to redo Star Trek. We got Next Generation. Hey, that worked in its own way. But I don't know. It's one of those things, like, just make something new.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to recreate it.
It's lightning in a bottle. I mean, sometimes, when they bring over, I could see the temptation, right? Because basically Sanford and Son, that was Steptoe and Son in the UK. They brought that over.
Something, yeah, they brought it over and it worked.
All in the Family was based on, I can't remember the name of the show in the UK, but that was based on a British show. And I tried watching the British show. It was all over my head because they were talking about politics from the 1960s in the UK. Sorry, I wasn't around for that, believe it or not.
Well, I mean, this is what all the executives are always hoping for. It's like one of those, hey, remember All in the Family? That was adapted and it did great. Sanford and Son, that was adapted, that did great. Maybe we can get it going with this. And they try and they try and they try, and it's not easy.
Nope.
You got to get that right combination. You got to have the right cast, the right crew, come out at the right time. A lot of the factors are out of your control. It's just, are people willing to embrace this at this point in time?
Yeah. It was lightning in a bottle too. And then you had the whole, friction between upper class and lower class in Britain at that time, and people trying to step out of that and the whole bit. Like, I don't know. How would you, it probably could be done, but it would be completely different. It'd be so far removed. You'd probably be just taking a little bit of the basic bits from the original series and making it into something completely different.
And a lot of the humor that flew back then is just not going to go now. You talked about some of the controversial points, and
there were
a lot
more
of physical comedy. I don't think you can get away with characters slapping each other anymore,
or hitting each other with frying pans, or
I mean, that's the joke. It's funny because I know it's over the top and it's not something you can do, but you do that now, and then someone recreated it in a YouTube, TikTok video, something, and now it's a big deal.
Yeah. Okay, so there you have it. We love the Fawlty Towers. Richard is a new fan.
The Fawlty Towers, or sorry, I can't remember all these off the top of my head. Or the warty towels, or the watery fowls, lay otters, fatty owls.
Flowery twats.
Flowery twats was probably one of the best ones.
Yeah.
Just another little, a little bonus. There you go. Not enough jokes for you? Here you go. Have this.
Did I tell you that I used to, like, the show used to come on PBS? Did I mention this? And I used to have, okay. So this was, so I find out about this show. It's impossible to catch on TV, right? Because but the only station that would air the show was PBS in the United States. And our PBS channel with the cable company kept changing. Sometimes it'd be with Buffalo, sometimes it'd be with Detroit. Anyways, anytime one of these PBS channels would have a pledge drive, that's where they would dip into the Fawlty Towers well. That's where they would air, like, we're going to air all the Fawlty Towers tonight, but you're going to have a full solid half hour, 45 minutes of pledge drive stuff in between each episode. So, the series wasn't available Well, it might have been available on VHS, but it'd be, he'd be importing it from the UK or something, so it'd be super expensive. So I would record an episode on the VCR, and then I would hit record and pause, and keep the heads going, ready
Sure.
for the next episode. So you had to sit there through like 45 minutes of pledge drive, because you
Mhm.
didn't want to miss a second before you could start recording on it. So that's why I had like some episodes I've seen a billion times, because that's what I had recorded on VHS. But like some episodes like The Kipper and the Corpse, I haven't seen that much. I've only seen it dozens of times instead of hundreds of times, I guess.
Sure.
Because I kept missing it or whatever. But yeah, those are some core memories of sitting through all those pledge drives waiting for another episode of Fawlty Towers. And now we live in an era where you just you click on the next episode on the DVD and you're
Sure. Or even you just click on the right website. It's like, hey, there they
Yeah,
are.
for
Sure, I'll
sure.
download those, put them on my Plex. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. That's what you kids missed growing up in this era where you get everything instantly. You miss sitting there
Oh
listening
boy.
to PBS people go on about tote bags and t-shirts and call now. And
I didn't have that experience with the pledge drives there, but I
Oh.
certainly remember sitting in front of the TV with the remote, waiting to record something.
Yes.
Now.
Yes. And it wasn't because it wasn't scheduled, right? Like it wasn't like, okay, they're going to have Fawlty Towers on at 9:00. You didn't know when they were going to switch out of the thing. Could be at any time. They would do it like they would go until like the phones started. Like, well, we're not getting as many phone calls. Let's run
Yeah.
another episode. So you had to be on your toes. You had to be ready. You couldn't go to the bathroom. You might miss it. Those were the days, man.
Mm.
I think we should go
But-
back to that. Teach these kids some lessons.
Get a little analog.
That's right. That's right.
Mm.
Okay, that's it. I think we said it all. We've spoken over an hour about Fawlty Towers alone.
Mm-hmm. It's worth it. If you haven't
Absolutely.
seen it, watch it.
Yes. Even if you're not like, I'm not a Monty Python fan. I'm not really big on that. This is far enough removed from Monty Python, I think.
It's just funny.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. Okay. Anything else you want to say before we sign off for the next episode?
Not really. I did watch all the Sinbad movies, but not much
Like
to say.
Sinbad, like the
The
swashbuckler or
70s. Oh no,
or
not
the
the
comedian, like with that.
Although he is in Coneheads, and I like Coneheads quite a bit.
Yeah. Is it Jingle
No, the
All the Way?
70s.
Is that that one?
Yes,
Yeah,
the
okay.
Turbo Man movie. He's in that. No, the 70s movies, the Ray Harryhausen
Okay,
effects
yeah.
ones. There's
Yeah.
Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, The Golden Voyage of Sinbad, Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. They are dated, but they're kind of fun. And all the effect stuff is really fun to look at.
Cool.
That's
That's cool.
Play Bloodshed if you want.
Yeah, I guess that's going to be our next episode, right? We're going to talk about Bloodshed because it's good times. Maybe don't want to spoil our next thing. I guess I finally started watching Taskmaster. Taskmaster.
Bassmaster?
No, Bassmasters. That's the show that comes on before Dr. Peter Venkman's World of the Psychic and Ghostbusters too. Bassmasters.
One of my two favorite shows.
That was so brilliant.
You know Bassmasters? Yeah, I know Bassmasters.
See, Ghostbusters 2 got too much hate, man. Back in
It
the day.
does.
Like, get it.
I kind of feel like I like it more than you do because you kind of say, this part doesn't work. It's not as good, but
No.
I enjoy that movie beginning to end.
At the end, it starts to fall apart. Like, okay, I get the criticism. They legit
Sure.
just redid the first movie again, but there are some moments.
Redid it.
Yeah.
Changed it up for the cartoon crowd.
Yeah. Whatever.
Sillier.
It's good. It's got the Bassmasters joking. No, Taskmaster. It's all free up on YouTube. You should check it out. It's a British show. started in 2015, I think. So there's like 200 episodes of it.
Oh my goodness.
You're probably the only person besides myself that didn't know about this show. But it's several comedians are competing for ridiculous prizes that they bring in, personal items that they bring in. They all bring in their own personal items, and it's put into like a pile, basically, and that's what they win at the end of the time. And the Taskmaster gives them all like these ridiculous tasks to do, and they roll a camera on them while they do it, and the comedy ensues, and it's a funny show.
So it's somewhat reality show,
Sort of, yeah. It's
improv comedy,
Yep.
kind of. Okay.
but very entertaining. Sarah and I, we watched the first season, and we had a good time. And the seasons are like 6 episodes, so it's not like the entire thing is a commitment, but you know, an episode here or there. It goes by. It's a funny show. We're having a good time with it. So that's what we've been doing. All right, that's it. Thanks everybody for listening. You couldn't watch this one unless you broke into my computer and stole my file.
Yeah, put it on your Plex server. Anybody who really wants it.
No, you can't have it. That's the other thing too. It's gotten more difficult to rip videos off of YouTube. It's become a pain in the butt. So
Really?
that's another reason.
I haven't tried that in quite a while.
Well, I had to do it for the show. I would go to our channel, and I had this program. It worked beautifully for years, and then they stopped supporting it, and it wouldn't work anymore. So I'd have to go to like all these nefarious websites, and sometimes they would work, and some wouldn't, and it was just a pain in the butt. So now I just record it here, and I got it.
Well, it's probably better for the people, because it's one thing if you have to sit there and watch us while you're probably doing something else in the background. Just listen, do the dishes.
Who wants to watch?
Organize your games or something like that.
Nobody wants to watch.
Just listen. Oh.
Yeah.
You're watching something else right now anyway.
Yeah. Watch Fawlty Towers and Taskmaster. Watch British television. That's good times. And then just listen to us when you're doing something. Yeah. Okay. I'm really going to stop the show this time.
Okay.
Just thank you, everyone, to listening. And thanks for Rocket Sauce for being so understanding.
Sorry, Ryan.
You're
going to have to send all your quippy comments in advance, and then we'll just read them just when it seems appropriate.
Just text me like 20 Simpsons quotes, and I'll just like stop in the show, and I'll read one, and Richard and I will be confused for a minute
as
or two.
Always.
Yeah, and then figure, it's from
that
the
was
Simpsons.
a Simpsons reference,
right? Okay, that's it. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Fandango.